Okay, Steve, here we are recapping UFC Singapore. What did you think?
Right,
What were your overall feelings for the card? Super early. It was on at 8 o'clock this morning, or
right.
6 o'clock this morning because we're in Central Time, Mountain Time in Canada.
Right.
What'd you think? Good card, bad card. Glad you didn't have to pay for it.
Oh, definitely 100% happy I didn't have to pay for it. Before we get into that, we should probably what's the name of the show, Zach? Or is it just two guys who just start talking, or
Oh, this
what's the
isn't
name?
this isn't a Talking with a Dad episode. This is different.
What is it? But what are we doing?
This
There's
is a
got to be a
UFC
name.
recap.
Oh, there we go.
Do we have a name? Should it be the Zach and Steve MMA show hour?
I don't know, man. What did I think? Yes, to your first question, obviously I'm extremely happy I didn't have to pay for these fights.
Yep.
But I was pleasantly surprised. My picks did really well.
You did really well. We both got robbed on one.
We both got robbed
But
on
you
one.
did really well. I called one out of the fight, out of all of them.
And the only reason I chose a pick 'em on that heavyweight match was in all honesty, I didn't know who either one of those guys were.
I didn't either. And in that scenario, I usually pick the guy with more experience.
Yeah.
Turns out that Cyril Gain has like a career in kickboxing. So
won some heavyweight Grand Prix, etc.
That Frenchman was good. Yeah, he was good.
And it showed this evening. He was my notable pick for the morning, by the way.
Yeah, mine too. He hit that heel hook really late on in that third round, and it was.
And he kept great pace for a heavyweight, which is again not surprising if you go back and look at some older Alistair Overeem Dream. Have you ever heard of the organization Dream before?
No.
All right, I believe that's the name of it. Anyone, someone can correct me, but Overeem used to belong to a kickboxing organization, and they had a lot of standout heavyweights, and that's when I first learned heavyweight kickboxers move a lot differently than boxers and MMA fighters do.
Okay.
Very light on their feet, and that showed. I liked his combinations. He got past the 3-punch stud that we usually see in the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Which, like I said before, there's a huge skill gap there. There's a huge skill gap, and if you're a heavyweight that has movement, takedown defense, and cardio, and you can put together combos, you could very well be champion.
Yeah.
In the UFC. So he's gonna be a dangerous guy to watch. Notable pick for the night.
Few more fights under his belt for sure. But yeah, he looked really good. He kept a really good pace. He was clearly winning the entire fight. There was no question. He didn't lose a round, I didn't think. I thought he fought really well. And then to hit that heel hook late in the third round with like 14 seconds left in the round was impressive.
And he did some great body work. Actually, he got the other guy
to
the point. And shout out to that dude, because that guy was actually also very light on his feet. He had some good movement, and he has potential. I think that maybe he needs to.
Do you know who we fought like? Fought like John. Fought like a heavier John.
One of those guys actually trained with John.
That was him. Yeah.
That was him?
Mays, yeah. He threw that teep kick a bunch, like just like John, and then tried to like circle away kind of like John does, but he's way heavier and just not as good as John Jones, unfortunately. But yeah, Cyril Gain. That was actually my notable pick too.
Yeah, he's my notable pick. I knew that but I just want to do some career trajectory for that guy right there for Cyril, right? So he's 5-0. I don't know if all those other victories have come in the UFC. I got to do more research on that. But I definitely would like to see him not fast-tracked, but stepped up. You know what I'm saying? We got to put him against the what's my buddy's name with the beard? Amazing wrestler in the heavyweight division. You love this guy.
Curtis Blades.
We got to see him against a guy
that
like
was my
Curtis
pick
Blades.
too. Curtis Blades is probably the next fight for him. Curtis Blades has a fight now or doesn't?
I don't believe he has a fight. And you know what? I was half awake this morning, and I thought Johnny Walker and Corey Anderson swore that fight was on this card. And I was freaking out.
Because I thought that too. And then in between Michael Johnson, in between this fight and the next fight, they even previewed it, and Johnny Walker was there. And I'm like, well, first of all, I didn't know Johnny Walker was as Brazilian as you could get. And then I was like, oh, well, I have to go back and watch it on the prelims. Why is this on the prelims?
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It's on the next card.
Yeah, dude. So it wasn't just me. The editing and presentation.
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to be there. Yeah, I thought he was going to be there. He wasn't. We missed it. We skipped the first fight.
Oh yes, I actually didn't see that fight.
Versus
I didn't see
Staropoli.
How was it?
He dominated the entire fight. Yeah. He even after the Stolikov, even after the fight, he goes, I tried to put him away, but I just couldn't hit him hard enough. So yeah he hit him with a lot. It was a clear-cut decision. It was very, very clear.
One-sided fight.
Very one-sided. It was actually a fun fight. But it was very early on in the first round. You saw that there was just a striking difference. His combos were clean. His boxing was really good. But again, he was fighting against a guy that I didn't even know the name of. So that's the only pick that I got correct. But you picked him too, I think.
Yeah, I picked him because I think I've seen him fight before, and if I'm incorrect, he's from that same region as is Muslim from the same region as
Khabib
and those guys?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh no, you know what? I have him confused with Islam. I apologize.
Yeah, who just Islam just got released, or not released, but exonerated of his popping hot. Did you see
really?
that? Yeah, they just exonerated him. Yep.
Then we had Frank Camacho.
That poor guy got.
Yeah. So listen, if you're not up on my boy Darush here, he's a legit black belt. It's you know how we were talking about the other night. So I was explaining. Santana asked me a good question. This was more pertaining to Damian Maia and Ben Askren about the difference between wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And I was like, typically wrestlers go for position unless it's something like catch wrestling where they already know how to tap someone. So guys who obviously jiu-jitsu practitioners, they know how to tap and escape from position. And Darush is legit.
Yeah, he's really good.
He is. Not only is his defensive jiu-jitsu very good, like he can escape butterfly guards. He's really good off his back too. We hardly ever see him there, you know what I'm saying, unless he's getting knocked out. But he's also a guy, like, once that body triangle's in and once he hooks that leg, like, I'm already getting up to go get a drink. You know what I'm saying?
It was clear. Yeah, it was clear. Even me with very little knowledge of jiu-jitsu, it was clear that once he got into a dominant position, it was over. Yeah, there really wasn't much.
And actually, a lot of class and sportsmanship, because there was a point where he could have like transitioned to top. I believe I can't prove it, right? So this is just my opinion. And he could have really worked that guy, but he chose to stay with the choke. And, and that's just he was the superior fighter, and he's actually a really humble guy. Fun fact: he is also on Michael Johnson's bad decision list.
Really?
Yes, he beat Michael Johnson. And it was a bad decision. Bad decision in regards to it wasn't a complete robbery, but Johnson definitely outstruck him, and he did a lot of cage work and held, not even like dirty boxing, but held Johnson against the cage.
Okay.
And he got the decision. But he's a great guy, man. I think he knows where he stands in regards to the rankings and in his career. That's why he never screams out matches and stuff like that. Like,
makes sense.
But definitely, as someone who's more and more getting into the sport, I would say anytime you get a chance to watch him fight, watch it, because it's gonna be he's either gonna get knocked out. He goes out on the shield. He's either gonna get knocked out,
or he's
gonna rip someone's arm off.
That's fair. Yeah. So I was editing videos during these fights, right? Yeah. I had stopped editing videos for the co-main and the main. But I also paid close attention to the Dariush fight because I had recognized the name, but not enough to know who he was. And then quickly came to realize that this guy was like legit on the ground.
Yeah.
Like legit on the ground. So
he is the guy that if we're all out in the wee hours of the night, somewhere in a crappy town like Boston, like you can count on him in a clutch. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's going to strangle like two guys at the same time while going, hey guys, just take it easy. Like, nobody has to get hurt here.
Oh, man. That's funny.
And then, oh man, this
was a bad decision.
So it all really depends on how you saw the first round, because Stevie Ray definitely was more active and more accurate with his counters in the first round. In my opinion, and I am willing to go to debates. In fact, if Alex Nitro Santana, coach, if you're watching this one and you disagree with me, I am willing to debate you live on this one. But I think that it was a 10-8 round in the second round, dude. Michael Johnson outstruck that dude 100%. And then he dominated the beginning of the third round. And I just don't think the top control was enough to give this guy the fight. I would have been happier with a draw.
The third judge scored it as a draw. Yes, I was happier with that than Michael Johnson losing. Michael Johnson's beaten the who's who, right? He's the only person to beat Ferguson, right? He's beaten everybody, but he's also lost some terrible decisions. He's lost on the bad side of some.
He's handed some fights over poorly and bad not listening to his coaches. But if you go back and look at the scorecards, someone scored at 29, two judges, 29-28, both of them. So that means they both gave Stevie Ray the first and second rounds.
Or the first and the third.
Dude.
He didn't win the third. I know that last, what is it, minute and a half?
I mean, the first and third round. And I just don't think that he took the first round. I don't think it was that convincing.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that minute and a half that he was on top in the third round did the most damage in the fight. But up until that point, he was losing that round.
Dude.
So if
not only up until that point, he had totally gotten outstruck.
Oh yeah.
The second round, dude.
For sure.
I'm surprised he was able to take that much damage without at least getting wobbled, dude. So I don't know. Did Dana talk about the decision at all?
I didn't see. Yeah. A little busy. So
what have you been busy doing, Zach?
I've edited 4 videos today. Plus had to get the yesterday's podcast. So
this guy, ladies and gentlemen, this man is killing it over there. Him and Jeff, editor Jeff, who's not there right now.
He's actually just a producer.
Oh, I'm sorry, producer.
He just watches after I do all the work and goes.
He just sticks his head out that door like burgers. No, but you know what? I would love to see maybe run that one back, which they're not in the habit of doing unless it's overly controversial.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think Johnson goes from here?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd have to look at the rankings and see where he is.
He didn't do good at 145.
Yeah.
That was another bad decision. Came back up. This was his fight, reinventing myself fight at 155.
Looked good too.
He looked really good. Only guy, and you know, Stevie Ray should be an announcer. He called Michael Johnson's career. He said he's the only, as you stated, the only guy to beat Kevin Ferguson. He starched
Ferguson, not Kevin Ferguson. Who's Kevin Ferguson? Tony's brother?
It's his brother. It's just the guy who's doing all the weird stuff in the background when he's filming those videos. Starched Dustin Poirier. Only guy to date to actually, in my opinion, wobble Khabib. I've gone back and watched that fight, and I watched the Dustin hit.
Yeah,
he definitely stunned Khabib more than Dustin did with that hook. And
for sure.
Did he beat Edson Barboza?
Yes. Did he also beat Hill?
I don't think they fought.
Someone in his highlight reel was like, he fought that.
He didn't.
Oh, Gaethje. No, he fought Gaethje and lost to Gaethje.
He lost to Gaethje, yeah.
Sorry,
and he was actually winning that fight at a point, and then he gassed, and Gaethje just turned it in, kicked it in the third gear. So.
Oh, he lost to Dariush too.
Yeah, I told you that. I said that.
I didn't hear you.
Yes, I did. I actually run that film back. I was like, he's on on Johnson's bad decision.
You know what? This is the fight to make. Let's see Johnson versus Joe Lozon. Loser retires.
Oh, you're taking it to the WWF rules. Remember when they had those?
Get it out of here! Yeah, they fought in 2013, and Michael Johnson wanted to.
So they run it back. Loser goes home.
Loser goes home.
What's up with that keyboard in the background, dude? That thing is not pimping at all.
No, it's just a standard keyboard for the recording machine.
Oh, okay. I got you. My bad. I was like, that's not your style at all.
Oh,
I would like to see that. I would actually, I would say, ooh.
The keyboard here, dude.
Pettis probably not going to stay at welterweight. Probably going to be making his way down to 155. I say I'd rather see Johnson versus Pettis. If Pettis comes down to 155, loser retires. Sergio's out of the UFC.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, Anthony Pettis is not long for this fight game, much longer. And
yeah,
it's all due to being a warrior. His hands are brittle. They're broken.
His hands are really bad. They're broken the last 3 fights?
Absolutely. You know who else fought most of the remainder of his career with broken hands all the time, and you'll never
Floyd
guess
Mayweather.
who it was. Yes, sir.
I knew exactly what you were gonna say.
Greatest to do it in my opinion, in regards to defensive boxing. But yeah, I would see Johnson go against Anthony Pettis. That'd be a great fight for either guy to make a decision. You know, maybe even if Cowboy stays at 155, maybe Johnson versus Cowboy. I have him starching Cowboy.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
everyone does it at this point. Unfortunately, I just, you know what, man. I as much as I like watching Cowboy fight and as much as I respect the guy, I'm kind of over watching Cowboy lose.
I can tell.
I'm kind of over watching Cowboy lose. I can get excited for a Cowboy fight as much as the next guy, but I don't have any faith that he's going to win against anybody.
I just don't buy into it because, and this is not against Cowboy. And actually, you know, I'm not a fan of his personality. I like him more now than I've liked him in the past.
Sure.
But this is the ebb and flow for him. He goes on streaks, and then he gets shut down. You know, and it's not like he's not doing anything to be the best fighter he can be. So
yeah,
and I feel the same way about Michael Johnson. So we're talking about a kid who started on this, just to give you perspective on his career. Got his start on the Ultimate Fighter when it was Koscheck versus GSP as the coaches.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
What? No, this is for their second fight.
Yeah, Ultimate Fighter 1 or 2. It has to be one of the first few, right?
It's not one of the first few. It's like maybe which one is that? Let's look it up. I'll consult the all-seeing eye. But this was actually, they coached this season together because it was a rematch fight for them.
Yeah. I just thought it was one of the early ones because I remember GSP. That's the one that GSP had brought that drunk
yeah, Frenchman.
Yeah, Frenchman in, who came in and just destroyed everybody, right?
Yes. Yeah, no, it's actually Ultimate Fighter season 12.
Wow, I was way off. Yeah. I wasn't even close. That's hilarious.
And he was I believe he was GSP's #1 pick. Freddie Roach had great things to say about Michael Johnson when he came in. And but yeah, I think it's I'm not one to force this type of fighter to retirement, but it might be time to start thinking about what the next step is. Maybe seeing if they have some analyst jobs.
Yeah. You know, maybe he goes and works at the PI.
Yeah, maybe take a fight with Paul Felder. Paul Felder comes back to 155. He's a guy that, like, I'm just gonna say it out loud, dude. He comes through that door, beats me to death right here without my family ever knowing it, dude.
Yeah, and then sneaks back out.
Yeah, it sneaks back out. But yeah, you show me what's so great about his career, right? So
yeah, that's an interesting fight. I think Paul Felder's a warrior, so that you know, he gets a lot of pass for that. But other than that, not too much, right? Paul Felder's kind of one of the same guys. He's win 2, lose 1, lose 2, win 1. So just enough to stay in the UFC.
Just enough. And then
there's the real questionable one on whether who is going to stay in the UFC at this point.
Oh, so what are you thinking? So it's interesting, right? Sergio Pettis going over to Bellator, not quite comparable to Shroud going to Mixer, right? Before I'd actually start worrying about people, and then let's be honest, the UFC has positioned itself in this market at the head of the table. It is the standard by which everything else is judged. Whether the ratings are better over at Viacom or whatever, Paramount, whoever owns Bellator now.
Paramount, yeah.
Doesn't matter because UFC is the standard, right?
Correct.
So at this point, the only way, and I'm just calling it now, dude, I don't know if this is going to happen in my lifetime or anything like that. The only way MMA continues to grow is if we start putting it into some of these question marks, like which organization really has the best welterweight in the world, the best light heavyweight.
Might be Bellator. Welterweight, right?
Well, welterweight. Who do we got now? It's Usman.
Yeah.
I think Usman. I think Usman gives him some trouble.
Rory, right? Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah. I think Usman gives him some trouble.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Rory, he gets tested time and time again, and just kind of just walks through the test. Usman fought a really slow fight against Tyron Woodley.
Not as slow. That man was he broke the champion, dude.
It looked like Tyron didn't want to do anything. That was the issue, right? Tyron fought slow. I'm not saying that Usman fought slow, but overall the fight was fairly slow. Usman was on top of him for most of it. I get that, but Rory's gonna do to Usman what Usman did to Woodley. He's gonna make him look slow.
So here's how I have Rory winning. If he keeps the distance and he puts out a nice enough jab and he's able to use his kicks, he can point his way through it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But we also know that Rory McDonald is willing to go to war.
Yeah.
A lot of people always assume that he was just a kind of a point fighter, but if it gets dirty, he's willing to go there. But he has had problems with pressure wrestlers in the past.
Okay.
And Usman is a chain. Not only is he a pressure wrestler, he's a chain wrestler.
Okay.
So it just means like after he grabs one leg and you maybe pummel out of that, and then he grabs your arms and you maybe pummel out of that, he's already back down to your legs. And it's like, dude, come on. And that takes me right into why Ben Askren did not win this fight.
Yeah.
And that's why I picked Damian Maia. When I used my logical brain and not this thing, because I want to see Ben Askren when he's got that beautiful fro.
Oh, the fro's amazing.
he's a funny guy, but it's just like, man, I don't know. We're talking about a guy when he was the welterweight champion of Bellator. He completely dominated a killer of a striker from Russia, right? This is when he got the. Yeah.
That's the highlight reel where he's on the guy's back riding him, right?
Yes, yep. Yes, complete. And that style of and his wrestling then in that fight was amazing. Tonight, Damian Maia just proved.
Yeah, Damian Maia
just proved he's like his jiu-jitsu is definitely on another level. And also, man, he really proved the fundamentals count. Do you know how he escaped almost every mount position? Butterfly.
Yeah.
But like he just butterfly guard.
So, let's be fair here. Askren might have been winning the striking exchanges.
Oh, absolutely. He started to pull away for sure.
Yes. His striking looked the best we've maybe ever seen it.
Man, and that's not saying much.
That's not saying much. That's not saying much, especially from the camp that he comes from, who comes from some really good strikers.
Yeah.
He is the worst striking of all time. But better than Damian Maia's apparently. He had a few really good uppercuts, and he was actually winning the striking exchange, and then insisted on going to the ground. Where after the first attempt, and after the second attempt, and after the third attempt, it was clear that Maia was going to win the ground game.
I think Maia was in better shape than him, but Damian Maia definitely gassed early on in that fight. His striking is definitely cleaner than Ben Askren's, but as the fight started to get a little bit closer,
he threw way more.
Yes,
he threw way more. He kept a good pace for sure. Maia kept a really good pace.
I was expecting more of a. So here's the thing, right? You got to be careful with these power double leg takedowns and stuff with a guy like Damian Maia, because if your neck's in the wrong position, even
he's
if he
doesn't catch you.
He's gonna put you in a compromised position. But again, man, I was just not, and when I say not impressed, I mean that with the utmost respect. Ben Askren is one of the greatest to ever do it when it comes to wrestling. But that last, not even shot, that last reach down to grab Damian's leg was slow, was predictable, and like it just, I don't know, man. Like I would never accuse that guy of taking steroids, but he is definitely like, how old is he? How old is Ben Askren? Yeah.
And Askren is 35.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You know what the unfortunate thing is he was retired before he got the offer to come to the UFC. Now he's fought 3 times this year.
Yep. And I don't think that win over Robbie was as controversial as everyone says. In my opinion,
don't think so either. I think that
Robbie,
was it.
Yeah, he choked Robbie.
The only controversial thought about that fight is whether or not they could have stopped it when Askren was getting destroyed on the ground. Right. Could they have stopped it? Absolutely. They could have stopped it very early on, but they didn't, and he got the win there. Obviously, the Masvidal fight, whatever, and then, man, I don't know where Askren goes if he's allowed to stay in the UFC.
I'd have to know what his contract is, like how many fights he has.
Yeah, but it's known that Dana doesn't like Askren, and they'd probably be more than willing to pay him out to never see him again.
It's funny because
who does he fight now? Because anyone,
Watterson?
Right, exactly. Because anyone outside of the top 10, he's just gonna wrestle and choke out, right? Like, let's be fair, and that's where he was. He was fighting number 10 as number 11.
Yeah.
Where does he go? Who does he fight underneath that?
He goes to 155, takes a shot, hope Dana gives him Khabib. Oh. I guarantee 100% that is a possibility in Ben Askren's mind right now. He's like, I dropped down to 155. He makes up this whole narrative about how, you know what, it's always been my more natural weight class. That's why I was pushing Dana for a 160 belt. He goes down to 155. That's where he's headed next, if they leave him in there.
He's going to get destroyed by Khabib, though.
Yeah. If that guy shows up tonight, yeah.
Dude, if that shows up. There was a point in the fight, and I think it was in the second round, where Maia got taken down and then just stood back up. Right, and just didn't even like have to work his way back up like most people would.
Oh no, he worked for it a little bit. He just used a slick hip escape and butterfly guard to get out of it.
No, but I'm talking about the one where they went north south and he just stood up.
Oh right.
You're not getting up from that if that's Khabib on top of you.
No.
Because he's gonna throw you over or he's gonna move you. Where Askren had sat there and tried to throw three jabs to the body, like underneath.
I actually, you know, when they were in that north-south, or even when Askren had side control for a brief second in one of the transitions. So Demian Maia is 41 years old.
Yes, he
Askren's
is.
35, and it looked like a 40-year-old and a 35-year-old guy who'd come out of retirement grappling in there tonight. It was not the high-paced grappling affair scrambles that I thought it was going to be. I knew that there was a good chance that it was going to turn into a sloppy boxing match.
Yep.
But the brief moments in the transitions we got to see, I was telling my wife, I'm like, it's exciting stuff because you do really have two guys who are some of the best to ever do it. And hats off to Demian Maia, man, because if he catches you, that's it. You know, like a lot of people did not have him beating Carlos Condit. He choked that man to death.
What a crazy guy.
Who?
Demian Maia. No, yeah, Demian Maia. That man. Again, he's beat everybody too.
Yeah.
But could just never quite secure that title, right?
Yeah, only man to ever get hit with a kung fu punch in the UFC. No, seriously, Anderson Silva, when they fought, this is one of the fights that left helped propel Anderson into infamy. Was he was dominating Damian throughout the whole fight on the feet, and then he just threw this weird flying monkey punch where he kind of dropped to the ground and hit him, and he actually hit Maia with it. At that point, if I was in this corner, I'm like, all right, get out of the octagon. Like that.
Man, when did he fight Silva, dude?
Oh my goodness,
2010. 9 years ago. Wow,
so long ago, dude.
Went to a decision. I'm like looking through his fights. He's fought 3 times this year too. He's won 3 times this year.
Yeah, Demian Maia is no slouch, dude.
Wow. His last loss was to Usman in May of 18.
Yep. Lost to Usman, lost to Covington.
Yes.
And also lost to Tyron.
Yeah. Yeah, right in a row. Beat George Masvidal.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Did he beat holy smoke?
He beat Jorge Masvidal in a decision on UFC 211 in 2017. That was his last 6 fights. 9 fights, whatever. Yeah.
Oh man, Usman is 34 and 13. I mean, not Usman. Masvidal is 34 and 13.
Yeah.
Good God.
We're really segueing really well into what is this card next week.
Yes.
That's a good card, dude. That's a card that I'm excited for.
So wait, just give me your overall thoughts on this card, this 8 a.m. card. Like,
first of all, I didn't watch it until about 1:30 p.m.
I was up at 8 watching this madness.
So all right, let's do this. It wasn't worth me being up at 8 a.m. for, but overall, it was a pretty average fight night.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been the world's worst pay-per-view. But
absolutely.
You know, it was a good fight night. Yeah, I'll give it that for sure. It was better than the fight night last week, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think it was better than the last week's card. So
it's hard on these cards, everyone, to talk about because unless you're like an actual fan of MMA, like we can go into the prelims and stuff like that.
I didn't even watch
unless you're I didn't watch them either because I wasn't awake. But unless you're an actual fan, this was another card that was really built around exposing some people and getting people airtime and like interesting matchups and propelling careers and stuff like that. So I do, in that regard, want to give the UFC props for sticking to their guns with this type of stuff. Since they've launched the fight nights, a lot of people have complained about the type of quality fights that are on these fight nights when they were on Fox, like when they were on Big Fox, and even before then when they were on FX and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they, you know what? They've really matured as an organization, and they continue to mature. They treat it like a real business. Unlike Bellator, where
they do 2 cards a week, dude. They do 2 cards a week, and they're like, "You want to fight? You're 125. You're 205. Let's get it.
You're 45 years old. You're sick. It's happening."
They do kickboxing too, though, right? Bellator.
Yes, they do. So how do I describe this? Every once in a while they'll have a kickboxing match. And it's like, oh man, I don't every.
I hates Bellator.
It's not that I hate Bellator, because I actually try to watch other organizations to see what's coming out, because I'm like, eventually some of these guys might be in the UFC. Yeah. And but I always regret it, man. Whenever I give up a Friday night to watch something on Bellator, and I'm like, I could have been playing video games. I could have been doing anything else.
I could have been mowing the lawn.
Exactly. That's what I don't do. But hey, you know what? I'm just calling it now, man. I think we just came out in the era of super fights in the UFC.
Yep.
At some point, I would not be mad if they start doing organizational crossovers, and we can get some more fights as fans. Or
do like a unified belt.
Yes.
Then you're going to have to include ONE FC in that too, right?
I don't know. Do you?
ONE FC is... So if you want to do
Pride, man,
hold on,
Yakuza's mixed up in that stuff.
That's a good point. But if you wanted to do numbers worldwide,
yeah,
the ONE FC is bigger than both of them combined.
Capital wise, not production.
Well, it was amount of people watched. They're huge, dude. They're huge in Asia.
Yeah, okay.
Huge.
Yeah.
I was saying, if we're doing
as a market.
If we're doing worldwide market, they're Apple versus these two. Who cares?
Yeah, but who cares? Even when the UFC goes to Asia, UFC goes to Asia, it's like ONE FC, or do
yeah,
the real circuses come to town. It's
It's a fair point. That's a fair point. I guess we're just gonna cross promote UFC and Bellator.
Listen to me, man. I was watching World Series of Fighting, and I actually really enjoyed their organization, but they couldn't. I don't think they could really pick an identity as whether they were a feeder to the UFC or not. And there's nothing wrong with being that. Knowing your position, like knowing that you'll never ABC wasn't backing them enough. Where I think it was either ABC or NBC they were on. You weren't getting that type of backup.
Yeah,
this was like
for sure.
But we got some cool fighters out of there. Moving on to UFC 244.
So I don't want to do picks on the show because we do picks on our Instagram page every week on Fridays now. But is there even a fight that could stand out on this card? Because I feel like the entire main card is so packed that
even the early prelims
are good, dude.
Yeah.
Even down to the early prelims. You have Andrei Arlovsky in the early prelims.
That's my guy right there.
That's your guy right there, dude.
He's in John Wick, and he's in The Equalizer Part 2. He's in both of those movies.
Good for him, Mr. Arlovsky.
Yeah, look, I'm looking at the main card right now, man, and
there couldn't even be a standout fight. Stephen Thompson, Vicente Luque, that might be a standout fight, but then again, also that's sandwiching between Derek Lewis fighting. I don't care who he's fighting, and Kelvin Gastelum versus Darren Till.
Oof. Kevin Lee versus
Gregor Gillespie,
the next champion of the
the next champion. Unfortunately, he'll get there after Khabib retires.
Yeah, I don't think Khabib's gonna go anywhere anytime soon. To be honest with you,
really?
I mean,
he's claiming 2 fights and he's out.
He could. He has the money to do it. He's always had a really good contract with the UFC. I mean, good is relative compared to other combat athletes.
He made so much money for this last fight.
Yeah, but
plus he has that dictator funneling him money or whatever.
Oh yeah. I'm not speaking on that. That's the last. I don't need that type of smoke.
There's that guy funnel. Who cares? Good for him, dude.
I'm telling you, it's going to be a striker, Vicente versus Stephen Thompson. That's going to be It's going to be a real. This is not going to be the first test for Vicente. I would be disrespecting that man if I say it is. But this is going to be a test for Stephen Thompson because at this point, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he gets knocked out again or knocked down in the last 3 seconds of a fight to lose again, because he slows the pace of every fight down to his pace. And then that works in his favor for winning by decision or catching you with a counter kick or a cross. But the last 2 fights, actually, I'm sorry, the last 3 fights, he's been knocked down in the very last moments of the round and lost decisions based on that. So
yes, he has.
And then, Darren Till getting
Calvin.
thrown right to the
I know how I'm gonna pick these fights already. So
my picks are already to my bookie.
Right, I have the money counted, Steve. We didn't have to mention that. I have the money counted. That's all right.
This is gonna be a good one, man. I don't even want to. You know what? I'm not gonna say anything else. I'm not gonna say anything.
Nope.
This might be this might be an early one. This was a snippet, but I just gotta tell you, I'm pumped for this. And the wings will be cooked, the pizza will be ready, and I'm not really that pumped about the main event, though. I'm gonna be honest with you. I could care less.
Who cares?
I could care.
But almost any one of these fights on this card could be a main event.
100%. The first, the lightweight fight could be a main event. Not the heavyweight, let's be honest.
Well, that's Derek Lewis. His balls were hot.
Listen to me, man. That man is obscene and gross, dude, but I love him to death. Actually, you know what's funny is like he's kind of insightful in a kind of idiot savant type of way. Like some of the stuff he's said things in interviews, and I was like, man, Derek Lewis really made me think for a second. I was like, man, that is profound in its simplicity.
I love when like they ask him how much he trains. He's like, yeah, I train like 30 minutes a day in the gym, and then I just go home and do nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. He goes, well, I'm going to train an hour now. And I'm like, you idiot. Train.
Like show up. But you know what? He in his fight against Daniel Cormier, got to be honest with you, man. He lasted a lot longer than I thought he would. And he went out on his shield.
Wasn't he coming off of a torn ACL, or did he tear his ACL in that fight?
Who, Cormier or
no? Who cares about Cormier? Derek Lewis.
I can't remember. I will tell you this: Daniel Cormier apparently blew his back out sneezing before that fight.
Yeah. That was the video of Max Holloway making fun of him for that is pretty good.
You know what? I'm gonna say this, man. What are you gonna do? You gonna run home after the fight so we can do the post fight on this?
We do another in person one.
We could do another in person one. I think that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another fight recap with Zach the Gamer, Steve the Dad.
Yes. We will we'll see you guys next week for another one. The next week is gonna be a good one. We're gonna be excited for the next week. Thanks everyone for watching.
Bye.